Here's a rundown on No.1 Neuroscientist reveals the science-backed exercise that lowers stress in 1 minute or less, featuring Dr. Wendy Suzuki by Jay Shetty. They delve into the vast amount of knowledge that has been gained about the brain, but also acknowledge the enormous amount that still remains a mystery. The conversation shifts to the topic of stress and anxiety and how they affect the brain. She emphasizes the importance of awareness and recognizing the signs of stress and anxiety in oneself. Jay Shetty shares his personal experience of storing stress in his body, particularly in his upper shoulders and neck, and how he had to learn to recognize those cues. She shares her go-to tools for managing stress and anxiety, including deep breathing and physical activity. The conversation also touches on the topic of how to spot cues of stress and anxiety, and how to remind oneself to breathe when feeling overwhelmed. Jay Shetty compares it to training for a fire drill, where you practice the routine before the actual event happens. She emphasizes the importance of keeping these areas healthy and thriving throughout our lives. She starts her day by meditating over the brewing and drinking of tea, using loose-leaf tea that requires her to steep it for a certain amount of time. This ritual helps her stay in meditation and focus on her body scans and prayers. She believes that this morning routine prepares her for the day and helps her feel more focused and alert. Jay Shetty agrees that having a morning routine can be beneficial for mental health and brain function. He notes that when we wake up and immediately check our phones, it can be overwhelming for our brains and lead to stress. Instead, he suggests finding a gap between waking up and checking our phones, allowing our brains to speed up naturally and catch up with the pace of the day. She notes that exercise in particular has been shown to improve mood, attention. She also highlights the benefits of meditation, which can help us focus and reduce stress. Jay Shetty asks why it can feel so hard to focus and be present, especially when we're trying to build new habits. However, she notes that it's a muscle that can be built with practice, and it's okay if it feels difficult at first. She notes that anxiety is a normal human emotion, but it can exist on a spectrum, and some people may experience clinical levels of anxiety that interfere with their daily lives. She emphasizes the importance of seeking help and using techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy to manage anxiety. Jay Shetty asks how people can make the switch from seeing anxiety as a negative emotion to seeing it as a superpower. She notes that this can help people take action and feel more productive, rather than getting overwhelmed by their worries. Jay Shetty notes that he always looks at his anxiety as revealing to him a skill he hasn't yet developed, and that he tries to use it as an opportunity to learn and grow. She believes that anxiety and grief are skills and muscles that can be developed and strengthened over time. She shares that the flip side of anxiety and grief is deep love, and that's what makes life worth living.
Suzuki's perspective on anxiety and grief changed after she lost her father and brother within 3 months of each other. She realized that her grief was coming from a good place, and that it was showing her how much she loved them. She learned to approach grief in a different way, and found that it made her search for the beauty that comes from pain in a new way. She also learned that she could expand the range of her emotions and that relativism is beautiful. She thinks that the dark feeling of deep grief helps her appreciate the joyous moments in her life. She shares that she learned to focus on the learning that comes from trauma and to give herself time to process her emotions. She believes that we should focus on the learning that comes from trauma and apply it to our lives. She invites everyone to do the same and fill their brains with joyous memories.
Jay Shetty shares that he has a similar technique that he uses to help people relive their joyous memories. He asks everyone to go back to a moment where they experienced the most love and joy in their life, and to relive it in their feelings. She thinks that if we can learn to talk about our anxiety in a way that focuses on what we learned from it and how we can do things differently next time, that is beautiful. She believes that this is the classic growth mindset, and that it can help us develop a more positive relationship with our anxiety. This exercise helped her understand what she holds dear and what her aspirations are. Jay Shetty pointed out that this exercise can help people identify what they're anxious about and what they're striving for. He emphasized the importance of mindset and awareness in shaping our experiences. She suggested that we should try to approach challenges with a growth mindset, focusing on solutions rather than problems. Jay Shetty added that many conversations about anxiety and stress are victim-based, and we need to make a switch from anxiety to growth. She also suggested doing exercises that help us shift from a complainer mindset to a growth mindset. These chemicals can help build new brain cells in the hippocampus, leading to positive brain plasticity. She emphasized the importance of aerobic exercise, social interaction, stress reduction, sleep, and good nutrition for brain health. She explained that love can be studied by looking at the brain areas that get active when we look at pictures of people we love. She mentioned that the brain's reward areas light up, and social interaction areas are also activated. She also discussed how the brain's response to love changes over time, from the initial romantic love to a more stable and loving relationship. They talked about how people are losing the ability to create love and connection because they're not meeting in person. Jay Shetty shared a study that showed 80% of people pull out their phones in a crowd to avoid conversation and contact. She's developing an online class with an in-person component, where students can learn about brain health and do personal experiments to improve their well-being. Jay Shetty praised her approach, saying that leaders have a responsibility to create happy and fluffy brain communities. He realized that these qualities became values that he aspired to, even though he may have come from a different set of values before. She starts by telling them that they have a beautiful brain, which is a neurobiological truth. This approach helps people feel a sense of belonging and opens them up to sharing their thoughts and ideas. She also emphasizes the importance of positive thinking and affirmations, citing studies that show they can improve one's affect and reduce negative emotion. She also notes that memory is highly variable, and some people may have exceptional memory while others may struggle to recall even recent events. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that someone has dementia or Alzheimer's, as memory can be affected by many factors, including age and interference.
Suzuki's approach to memory and learning is centered around the idea that our brains are capable of change and growth, and that we should take care of them to achieve our full potential. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, and just remember, subscription is only £1 or $1 per month. Leave a comment or review. Until next time, happy listening.